So now that you've finished with your loopy boot, it should look like this. I've already tucked in all my tails and sewed on my buttons. And now we're going to work on the other side, the boot on the other side. So you should have already finished your second boot. I won't go through that again, we've already been through there. So we're going to work on the loopy round for the second boot. And on this boot, we're going to work it a little bit differently. Before we actually find the center stitch and count over, we're going to start with the slip knot. Remember, hold the yarn, wrap it around, put your second loop under the first loop, and pull. And that will make a slip knot. Just put your hook through the loop and tighten it. Now in order to start, we're going to start with a chain of 2. So just chain 2, put that on your hook, and now we'll take our boot, and remember we're going to point the toe towards us to find the center. So right there you can see the center stitch is right there. And this time, instead of counting this way, we're going to count this way. Okay, so we're going to start at the center, and we're going to count 2 stitches this way. So we're going to go 1, 2, and right here is where you want to insert your hook. This is where we are going to be adding our work. So we want the chain 2 to be on this side of our hook. And we're going to just slip stitch our yarn right in place. Okay, just like that. So now we have our chain 2, and we're going to work a row of loopy stitches right around. So just like the other boot, we're going to start in the same stitch that we slip stitched in, and we're going to put our hook through. We're going to wrap our hook over the top and around the back, grabbing our yarn from behind and pulling through, wrap around again and pull through. So now this round, we are just going to go right around the front of the boot, and we're going to work a whole round of loopy stitches going right around, and we're going to meet up at the other side. We're not going to go around, we're going to just keep going until we get to that last stitch. So we'll work around together. You should be loopy stitching with me. We'll do that together. And make sure you're keeping all of your loops the same size, because you want this boot to look the same as the other boot, just with an opening on the other side. So we'll keep going, and when you get to your slip stitches, take your time. You don't want to go too fast, skip something. And I hope you work those stitches nice and easy, so you're not giving yourself a headache to get your hook through. It's so easy to crochet them too tight, and then when you come to this round, it's impossible to work them. We're going to keep going all the way around the boot. And this boot will be worked the opposite way of the other one, because we want to have an opening on the other side of our boot. This way we have a definite right boot and a definite left boot. You could make both of these boots the exact same way. I think they look kind of cute that way. But if you wanted to have a right and a left, then this is the way you would do the opposite side. And you don't have to change chain 2. You could make them longer, you could make the opening longer. If you wanted to make a different style of opening, you can do that as well. It's really up to you and your imagination what you're comfortable with doing. This is just one way to do them out of many, many different ways. There's so many ways to do this shoe. I'm going to crochet right over my tail to give me less to do later. I can just snip that tail off instead of having to weave it in with a yarn hook, yarn needle. But you don't have to. You can, if it gets in your way, or if you're not comfortable, oops, dropped all of my stitches, have to back that out. If you're not comfortable at all with your loopy stitch, you can just move it right out of the way and deal with it later with a yarn needle. Okay, there we go. Sometimes that happens when you're crocheting. You drop the entire stitch, so the best way to work that is to just back yourself out to the last stitch that you did. This way you can recover from it if you can't find those loops again. That's one of the reasons I don't knit. Dropping stitches is not fun when you're knitting. I think that's enough. Move that tail out of the way. So here we go. We're almost to the beginning again. Just going to keep going until we get there. I crocheted this side much tighter than I did the other side. By now you should be fairly comfortable with this loop stitch. Okay, and here we go. We're at the beginning, so I have another stitch to do right here, and I'm back at where I chained 2. So the way that this will work now is just like we did with the other boot. This will be our opening. So we want to chain 1, and we're going to go back and single crochet all the way back around because we want the loops to be on one side. So we're going to go back the other way. It's worked exactly like the other boot. So if you were comfortable with the other boot, you'll be able to do this one without any problem. Just the beginning is a little bit different. So we're going to single crochet all the way back around. Do a row of single crochet. After you chain 1, you do a row of single crochet all the way back around, and this should go pretty fast. A pair of these booties, once you're used to the stitch, a pair of these booties could take you maybe an hour and a half, depends on how fast you go with your loops. So we're going to go all the way back around. Ooh, whoops, I want to back that up. See, sometimes you don't grab all of the strands in your 4-ply yarn. I'm using 4-ply, so sometimes a little loop gets lost in the shuffle. So you want to make sure that you address that. Don't just keep going, because if you keep going, that'll come back to haunt you later. It'll make the boot not look right. Something will be stuck, and then you'll end up with knots. So you really want to back up until you get to the problem, or wherever you lost your yarn, and fix it. And that way it looks nice, and everything lies the way it's supposed to. Okay, and now we're almost back. We're going to go right around the toe top of this boot this time till we get to that little chain 2 section. Oops, and I grabbed a loop. I told you I've done that. Make sure you move those loops out of the way. They get in the way all the time. Okay, here we go. That's why, see, this booty I stuffed the toe, just like I did the other one. It makes it easier to hold on to the booty when you come around to this side. You don't have to do it that way. I just find it easier to hold on to. And here we go. We're back to the beginning. And again, no counting. I really hate counting, so I have no idea how many stitches there are here. No clue. I didn't count. Don't care. Okay, so now we're back to our chain 2. Now in order to address this, to make it the way the other one is, we're going to have to go in here and we're going to have to single crochet 2 on top of that one. So that's 1. And this one, whoops, you want to get in because you're working it backwards, so you want to get your hook in there to the second one. It's right here. Again, that's just a testament to how tightly I crochet. Okay, so now I've got my chain 2. I've single crocheted in each of my chain 2, and now I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then I'm going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches. So there's the first one, single crochet, regular single crochet, no loopy, anything. Okay, and here's the next one right here. And now I'll start my loopy stitches in the third. So we'll do another round of loopy stitches, and that's it. You just keep continuing on that way, the same way you did the other one. So we'll do another round of loopy stitches and then another round of single crochet, building up this section of the booty here so that we can make this part the button side, just like on this side. So we have a definite left and a definite right. You can see how it's starting to build up the other side, just like it would on this side. So you just keep going around with a loopy stitch. So now I'll go another round of loopy stitches, and then when I get to this end I'll chain one, and then another round of single crochet all the way here. When I get to this end I'll chain one, and then 2 single crochet, and then another round of loopy stitches until you have 5 rounds of loopy stitches. And then you would do the same thing with your cuff, with the single crochet, the front post single crochet, back post single crochet, 2 rounds of that, and then you would add on your button holes, your loops, your button loops, and then all you do is weave in your ends and you're done. And then you have 2 loopy boots, 1 right boot and 1 left boot.